Shalom, friends. This video, which is on the third portion of the Torah, Parshat Lekh, is really about letting go of the burden of worry. So how do we care about things? How do we care deeply about ourselves, about others, about the world, and yet not hold the burden of worry, be relaxed and easeful on the inside? That's what this video is about. But first, if you would please do me the favor of giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel and clicking on the notifications bell to get notified about new content, that would really help me out a lot. Okay, thank you so much, and on with the video. Okay, so here's our verse that we'll look at, just the opening verse of the Parsha. Vayomer Adonai el Avram, Lekh lecha me'artzcha u'mimoladtecha u'mibeit avicha el haaretz asher arecha. Go for yourself from your land, from your relatives, from your father's house, to the land that I will show you. A story. A disciple asked Rabbi Yitzchak, what do you think was Adam's real sin? Adam's real sin, he replied, was that he worried about the future. The serpent reasoned with him, you won't get any reward for doing good because you can't be tempted by evil. How can you be rewarded for only acting according to your nature? Eat of this fruit so that you will know of both good and evil, and then you will have a chance to overcome temptation and choose the good. Only then will you be worthy of receiving great reward. Adam's fault was that he listened to the serpent's argument. He had all the fruit he needed in the present, yet he worried about the fruit of the future. And that is the forbidden fruit, the fruit of worry. So if we want to stop worrying in our lives, it is important to understand the psychology of worry. Why do we cling to worry so much that a lack of worry seems almost suspiciously psychopathic? Like if a person's not worrying, they must not be in touch. They're not paying attention. It's like that bumper sticker I see sometimes that says, if you're not angry, you're not paying attention. Or you're just disconnected. You're like psychopathic. You don't have any emotions. It's because we tend to equate worrying with caring. We think they're the same thing. We might think that if we aren't worried, we will be neglectful and not do the right thing. We won't care. But this is true only if we lose connection with the present and instead get absorbed into the narrative of whatever it is we care about. Okay, so it's one thing to care about something, and it's another thing to be completely absorbed into the narrative of the thing we care about and to lose connection with the actual moment we're in. When we live in the story of what we think is going on rather than in direct connection with what is going on, then the drama of the story can dominate our emotional lives. Caring and worrying become one and the same. Sometimes, when the worrying becomes unbearable, we have to replace the story in our heads with some other story. That's why so many people feel the need to distract themselves from life with television, movies, gossip, or whatever. The story-addicted mind can only relax and let go of the story it worries about by grasping onto some other more entertaining story. So you may have experienced this. This is not to say there's anything wrong with television or movies. There's a little bit something wrong with gossip in most situations. But it's not to say that. It's really just to point to and become aware of how are we functioning. Can we be still, or are we addicted to stories? But when we live in connection with what is actually in our immediate experience, that is, when we live in the present, then it becomes clear. Worry is nothing but excess tension. Excess tension. You don't need it. What do we need that for? We don't need that. Well, we don't need it unless the worry and carrying are the same. Then we think we do need it. But once we can differentiate, then it becomes possible to let it go. In this realization, we can have an intention without living in tension. That's my cute little wordplay there. We can have an intention, right? We have the intention that we're going to accomplish something or respond to something or prevent something, be watchful. That's the letter shin, is being watchful for what needs to be done. Doesn't mean being irresponsible. We can have a very clear intention, but we don't have to live in tension. To do this, we must first be aware of our assumptions. If we unconsciously assume that we must worry in order to respond to our situation and get things done, then that will be true. But as soon as we become aware of this assumption, we can choose a different path. After all, beliefs and assumptions come from the past. We can leave behind the known land of beliefs and go out entirely into something new. Lekh lecha, go for yourself, literally means. Abraham is told to lech, to go, to leave everything familiar. His land, his family, his parents, lecha, for yourself, meaning if we cling to our old assumptions and habits from the past, we will just get more of what we've gotten in the past. Now, by the way, when things work well, then we don't have to change those things. Maybe we want more of what we've got in the past because we have a good system. That's fine. This is just talking about when we want something different. El haaretz asher arecha, to the land that I will show you. But if we want something different, we need to take a leap into the unknown, and that means we need to trust. Leaving behind our conditioning and taking a new path means embracing uncertainty and being shown something new. The opportunity to leap into the unknown may come to us only occasionally in the external sense. Okay, this is important. So the idea here is not that we every day have to leap into something unknown in our lives. Like, it's good to have patterns that work, to have routines and practices that serve us. In the external sense, sometimes we do have to leap into the unknown. Things change and we need to take that leap. And so it's good to know how to do that and be ready for that. But that's not an everyday thing necessarily. But when it comes to living in the present, every moment, which means this moment, can be such a leap. Okay? On the inner level, we can take that leap in every moment. And this is the path of YOD, the path of trusting the unfolding of reality enough to let go of mental narratives and connect in a direct and simple way with the truth of this moment. Okay, so if our mind is used to constantly repeating a narrative, then it is actually a leap to let go of that and to just come into the stillness of presence. That's why every time we practice, every time we meditate together, it is in a sense having to evoke this quality of YOD, this quality of trust. Because why does our mind want to go on and on and on so much? Well, part of it is a lack of trust. We think we need to think things through. We're constantly, wait, I need to think about that for a minute. No, we do have to think about things to some degree, but way, way less than we usually do. And so that involves a certain kind of trust, and it's a trust that we can build the muscle of, because the more we practice and get confident in the meditation, then that trust comes more and more naturally, because you see it proven over and over again that it's good for you and that things are okay. Your problems are still there waiting for you. For the only thing that is old about this moment is the narrative we bring to it. Meet this moment afresh, and everything is new. Now, I just want to say, this is not just a platitude. If you meditate and you don't have that sense of newness in the moment, so that's okay. Keep practicing. Keep at it. It is something that comes. It's not all at once. It's kind of, in some ways, it's like riding a bike. When you get on the bicycle, you try to ride it, you immediately fall over, and you have to keep trying again and again and again. And at some point you ride for a few turns of the wheels, and then you start to wobble and fall over. Eventually it becomes very natural to just stay balanced on the bicycle, and then you don't have to think about it anymore. Meditation is the same way. So people are at different levels of experience with it. This is just an encouragement. If you're not at that level yet of feeling the newness of the moment when you meditate, keep at it. You'll get there. The Baal Shem Tov is said to have taught the following on the opening blessing of the Amidah, the central Jewish prayer. He asked, why do we say God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob? Why don't we simply say God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? It's because when each of the patriarchs met the divine, it was completely new. It wasn't the story about God given by their parents. It's a funny thing to say in a tradition that gives us all these stories from the past. So it's not to say we shouldn't have the stories from the tradition. That's obviously a central part of the tradition. But it's also to complement that with the recognition that we meet God anew in each moment. And the stories should be inspiration toward that, as opposed to creating a screen or a filter through which we see everything. Connection with the divine is not something that can be given. It can't be transmitted from parent to child, nor from teacher to student. Real God is not the story of God we read about in the books. Rather, real God is this. It's this which meets you afresh in this moment. In fact, there is nothing except God meeting you afresh continuously. Bashamayim ma'al va'al ha'aretz mitachat. Ein od, there is nothing but this one reality. I hope you enjoyed this video on the value of meditation. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it if you would give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps me to build the channel. And if you'd like to try meditating with us in community, you can click the link in the description to try membership free for 1 month. Until next time, all blessings.